We've created this podcast because we want to know the people behind the work. We invite you to join us at the table and listen to their stories.
All right, Hunter, we're back at the table.
Yeah,
again.
glad to be here.
And we have a guest with us again.
Mm-hmm.
It is my pleasure. So Anna Simeonides, is that close enough, Anna?
Very good.
I was talking to Anna before that I've known you a long time, and I've been pronouncing your name wrong, like for a long, long time.
No worries.
But you're always so gracious. You've never corrected me once, and you didn't even correct me that I'm pretty sure I didn't say it right that time either. But Anna is here, and Hunter, I'm excited to introduce you to Anna and to what she's been doing, and more importantly, who she is. I mean, this is about who people are. And so just some full disclosure, Anna, we love Anna. My family loves Anna. And two of my daughters have worked with or for Anna for some years now. And so she has a special place in my heart. But she is, I would put her in the serial entrepreneur camp. Just almost 30 years old and have two businesses.
Yes.
Right. And the story of your business is so fun. I'd love to hear, just kind of start us out with, how did you get into being an entrepreneur, starting your own thing? How did that happen?
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny. I like to say that I didn't choose entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurial life chose me.
You're the chosen one?
Yeah. We'll go back about 10 years now. I was in college, and I wanted like a little side job to make money. I always kind of baked on the side. I started baking when I was 8 years old. My little brother was born with a bunch of food allergies. And so I got in the kitchen to kind of try and alleviate, the burden from my mom of trying to figure out fun meals for him. And I think I just discovered like a passion for cooking and baking and just really enjoyed creating. And so I kind of just did it. And then I don't know what inspired me to be like, I should sell this. I think I was pretty desperate. I think it was a combo, actually. I was at High Point University in your freshman year. They require you to take like a freshman like seminar, essentially. And so they talk a lot about entrepreneurship and, fiscal responsibility and all sorts of cool topics like that. And so the president, Dr. Nita Cobain, kept talking about entrepreneurship. And so I think it inspired me to the point where I made an appointment with him, and I looked up how to make a business plan on Google. And I wrote this little business plan to sell my treats at the kiosks on campus. And I met with him, which is so crazy and gracious that he even gave me his time. And I remember he looked at me and he said, "Where'd you get this business plan?" And I was so embarrassed. I froze for a second because I thought, oh my goodness, he knows that I took something off the internet.
You're faking it here.
Right. Like I have no idea. I'm not a business major or anything of that sort. And I told him the truth. I said, I found a template on the internet. This is all my own words and work, but I did my best to follow it. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just know that I want to sell stuff on campus and make some money. And he said, "I'm very impressed. This is actually very good." And you could tell it's thorough and well thought out. So that meant a lot to me. And then because the college had a food contract with a different company, I wasn't allowed to sell my stuff under my own name. But what they did was they contracted me under the school's bakery. And so I got to be paid like an hourly wage and then just create. And that was actually the best thing because it didn't matter how much I sold. I got to have a steady income and also be in the kitchen and create. And that was such a good launch into baking. So from there...
Now, can I just stop? Isn't he an amazing entrepreneur?
Oh my goodness.
As well.
He is incredible.
He has really changed that whole university and really the town.
The amount of revenue and just donors, and I honestly think he could be a president.
Yeah.
Like he's got that kind of brain and the connections, and he's very genuine. Like the few encounters that I've had with him, I've been very impressed every time. So I would love to sit down with him, and that's never going to happen. But he's one of those people where you just want to sit there.
You already got one interview.
That's right.
You got one time.
Right.
You could do it.
You just want to pick his brain.
He would love to hear how he inspired you.
Yeah, I wonder if that follow-up. I'm gonna make sure he is a regular listener, so I'll make sure.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure
just tap him for me. Fun fact, I actually went to one of my friends had graduated recently with her PhD, and she got recognized recognized by the college for just a bunch of research achievements and stuff. She was named like one of 10 people who was recognized. And so we went back and there was this award ceremony for her. And Dr. Cobain was there, and I actually went up to him, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me. I shook his hand very quickly, and I said, but I sat in your freshman seminar class, and I actually left your college because I was so inspired by entrepreneurship that I went out and I
don't need you anymore.
Jobs.
I got it. You gave me all I needed.
And he said, oh, I remember you. And he said, it's great to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. It was such a quick interaction. I don't know if he actually remembered me. And I turned to a professor who was sitting nearby me who I'd known before. And I said, I just had this interaction. She said, no, he probably does remember you. He remembers everyone. It's very impressive. It's one of his skills. So we'll see. But if they want to open a culinary school, here I am.
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's one of the next things. Serial entrepreneurs keep opening new things.
I mean, we got to keep going, right? Keep the momentum.
I do love that story though, because you go to this place of education to kind of learn, and you learned what you needed to learn, and had the opportunity, and it led to greater things. It wasn't like I had to finish my class. I mean, you learned from the school of life and learn from your successes and failures and opportunities.
Totally. Well, and it was scary. It wasn't this very clear decision to leave. I was there for a full year. I loved it. I was there on big scholarship. I had this whole plan of my major. I was an education major. I had a double minor, all of this stuff lined up for me. And then over the summer, I just kept baking, and I did local farmers markets, and I realized I really loved it. And my parents were the ones who sat me down, actually, and said, you don't have to go back to school. You're going to pay to be going to school, but if you don't go to school and you're making money, like that's just a profit for you. You're living at home. I was working out of our home kitchen, which was certified, so I had very low overhead. It was like a win-win situation. God bless them for doing that, like what parent tells you. And they did, to their credit, they did say, we wouldn't tell all of our kids to do this. They said, but we know you won't be living in our basement in 10 years. So
they knew the risk was really low, that was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, and I love it. They really freed you
100%.
to say this is not a bad decision. This is just a decision, and it can be very good.
100%. Yeah. That blessing from them meant the world to me. And I talked to our priest as well. Actually, he was the one who really encouraged me in this too. And I think with those two things backing me, I felt like, okay, I can do this, and take that leap. So I definitely had a very unconventional, it was kind of bittersweet. I was doing my own thing and no one my age could relate to me. They were all in classes. They were going on spring break trips. They were in, like these friend groups. And I felt kind of alone in that aspect. No one my age could relate to what I was doing at that time in my life. I was hustling. I was crunching numbers. I was learning so many hard things. I was calling back my own customers for the first time. Like what, it was such a foreign concept to me, but it was so gratifying. I ended up opening my first brick and mortar a semester before I would have graduated college.
Wow.
And that was so full circle God moment. I wanted to take like grad photos in front of the bakery when the time came, because that was my education. It was practical education of life.
That's right.
Well, I guess the other thing I wanted to ask about, because most kids, college, 18-year-olds, man, the pressure to kind of follow the crowd and do that.
For sure.
Go and take all this debt on, and even if you don't know what you're going to do with it, is a very heavy pressure.
Totally. I think too, lately we're starting to see a turn in that tide where people are, and I think a huge part of it is, interestingly enough, social media and the internet giving people exposure to chase their dreams in ways that maybe they wouldn't have access to before. And so they're starting to take these very unconventional paths, maybe not as much like blood, sweat, and tears as I had to shed, but it still looks different than a conventional 4-year plan. But it's funny to me because I don't know that in the time, I definitely had even professors tell me, I don't think you should do this. Mm-hmm. When I went to tell them, hey, just so you know, I won't be coming back next year, thank you for this opportunity. They said, oh, you really need to stay in school. You need to have a fallback plan. And I just remembered thinking, school will always be here for me, Mm-hmm. But that being said, I don't think that if my parents hadn't sat me down and had that conversation, would I have had the guts to go for it. I really think it does, because like you said, it's just this path that this is the next logical step,
Right.
is what we're told. No one tells you that there are other options. And so I'm the biggest proponent for all the girls who work for me. You know, we always have these conversations of your life is so much more than what you think. Like God created us to be dynamic people. There's not just one option. You're not going to have just one career. You don't just have one aspiration. You're constantly evolving. Like if you're doing it right, you're not going to recognize yourself today, tomorrow, a month from now, 10 years from now. You know, I look back, I'm turning 30 in a couple months, and I have lived so much life in my 20s. At first, I was kind of sad to be leaving. And then I had the thought, well, what's to say I'm not going to keep living so much life in my 30s? You know, like it just keeps getting better, God willing. You just have to keep moving.
It's interesting because to that dynamic word, because I think the education system would say this, or gives the illusion of this, is that life is linear. You know, you do this step, and like you said, you'll have that fallback plan. Like somehow that's a guarantee. Like I've got this piece of paper, I did this thing, so then I can fall back. But I need to do this, and then next thing, and next thing. And it's this linear progress. I have this friend who just said his grandfather, one of the things that he told him, and that just never left him, was when he said to him, he said, you know, life is not linear. Like it's not. It is. The dynamic word is good, but it's this up and down. It's you take this path, and people are so afraid of quote unquote wasting time. But it's like everything. I tell people, my clients, I said, there are successes and opportunities to learn.
Yes.
Right? The failure is when you
Yes.
do the same thing over and over again, wishing for a different. That's the
Insanity.
foolishness. Yeah, right? That's foolishness. But I love that you're like, your parents had enough to say, go for this.
Yeah.
This is, and there's no guarantee you weren't going to live in their basement, right? I mean, they had a good betting chance knowing who you are, but there's a lot of things that need to come together.
Yeah.
It wasn't just how amazing you are. It was also, and I love this, you said this, people in your lives.
Absolutely.
The self-made woman, the self-made man is a bit of a myth. It always requires people to help you.
Totally.
Give
It
you an
always
opportunity.
requires that connection. You know, it takes a village, and it takes God, honestly. Like, let's just put it out there. You're not going to do anything without his blessing and his grace in your life. So for me, I feel like you just got to put your head down and keep trying. And if something doesn't work, you pivot, right? There's no sense in being stubborn. Like you said, insanity is just doing the same thing over and over and expecting a result, like a different result. So there were definitely roadblocks that I hit where something wasn't working, but then I just knew, okay, how are we going to change this? How are we going to be dynamic and adjust?
Can you think of any of those roadblocks?
Oh gosh, yeah,
Or do
for
you want
sure.
to share one of your roadblocks?
I mean, I think the most obvious one was like COVID. Like suddenly an entire business model wasn't working, right? Imagine that. So I think that hit probably when we were like 4 years old in the storefront, something around that. And they say after 3 years is a little bit of breathing room, 3 to 5 years, you've made it. And then COVID happens. I'm like, well, geez, I guess I didn't make it. You know, everyone around me is like closing left, right, and center. And so I feel very blessed that we didn't close in that time, but it required a lot of, you know, just creative thinking and pivoting. And suddenly we were delivering and we were doing all of these different things that I never would have anticipated, just to kind of keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I want to go back just for a minute to, because I don't want to gloss over this. You were saying that you really found a passion for baking. What was that? Where do you think that came from? Have you ever thought about kind of the baking passion? Because I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But when you love to do something, you're willing to go through and do crazy things and like open up a store and risk. But what was some of the passion? Where's the passion from?
For me, it's definitely the joy that it brings people. I always said no matter what I did, I wanted to serve others, right? I think we're all put here in essence, like to be Christ-like, you know? And so the best way to do that is to love one another well. And so for me, I knew no matter what profession it was, whether medical or hospitality, et cetera, I just wanted to serve others. And so food is a great way to do that. It's a very easy way, and it brings people a lot of joy. And so I remember distinctly in high school, I wasn't even that great of a baker back then. Like, gosh, geez. But thankfully my friends ate it regardless. Like when you're a kid, you don't care. And but I would stay up until like 2 a.m. baking birthday cakes for my friends and doing all these things just with the anticipation of surprising them and seeing their smile and their joy, you know. Same thing for my little brother with his allergies, which that one was more of like a day in, day out. So it didn't register as much, but it was always for the gratification and the satisfaction of, okay, I was able to bring them some joy. I think as I got better at it and I learned a little bit more of the food science and the ratios, and I didn't make quite so many mistakes, and I wasn't staying up until 2 a.m. making something that should have only taken me a couple hours, then I started to fall in love with the creativity of it and building different flavor profiles. And suddenly I was waking up with recipes in my mind of, oh my goodness, I want to try crafting this. And now it's almost like something will just come to me. I'll see like a finished product in my mind, and then I'll sit there and I'll deconstruct the layers and be like, okay, how can I make this? It's so cool. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say is I've tried so hard to learn an instrument. Like all I've ever wanted in my life is to play piano or guitar or something, and I am hopeless. When I tell you, it is just, there is a block there. I've tried so hard, and I'm very determined, as I'm sure you can tell.
Yes.
But there is something stopping me. I have the opposite of that with food. It flows through me. Like the creative juices are just there. And at that point, that's something that God has given me. It's inspired. You know what I mean? That is not something that I can ascribe to. I'm very grateful to have this talent that He's bestowed upon me, and He could choose to take it tomorrow and I will never have another cool idea again, but for now I'm riding this wave and I'm loving it with everything I've got.
So it sounds like if, whatever you're thinking about is all in the context of faith in some way. Mm-hmm. I mean, you qualify everything with faith, which is beautiful. And I guess I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. In other words, what does a relationship with God have to do with baking and food and all of that? I mean, I think you are very clear that it does.
Yeah.
But, just how do you connect those?
Sure. I mean, I think St. Paul says to pray unceasingly, right? And
Right.
I think with that connection in life and a life in Christ, it overflows into everything, whether it's baking, walking your dog, running, sleeping, everything we do, we're put here to worship Christ. We're created in His image. And so I think I am very hesitant to just toot my own horn and be like, woohoo, I did this, because I know I didn't. That would feel dishonest. I am very grateful to be an instrument, and that He's given me these things. And I do enjoy it, but also I have messed up immensely many times. And that is how I know that it is not of myself. And so I never want to come off as cocky or to seem like I've got it all figured out, because I know it's quite the opposite. And every single day I'm having these little moments of panic when fridges go down, or I have problems with, communication with staff or whatever it is. And it's always just a prayer of like, okay, God, you're steering the ship. It's not me. So just help me be a good steward and keep going.
Well, I wonder too, I mean, knowing you a little bit, and you said this early on, like you just love to serve people, and you feel like that's the reflection of what God wants and what He does for us. And so you just do that. So so in service, that's how you reconcile the two. You're in the service industry, but you actually see your identity, and nearly human identity, is helping each other. Like you said, that's what the world, I mean, even if you took faith out of it for people know giving a gift is way more fun than getting a gift.
Absolutely.
I mean, people know that. People know that. Why would they pay money to go dig wells somewhere?
Right.
Right? I mean, because they know giving away intuitively, this is true. And so I think it's so great because I've seen that not only in the things you bake, and they're beautiful and they taste good, but then the way the people that work for you love to work for you, because you want to create a culture like that.
Totally.
And I think that's all wound into, like you said, image of God. There's image there, and you want to just honor that with people, and you can do it through serving food or by making a great business.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's almost probably even hard to articulate it.
It
I
is.
was watching your brain. You're like, I don't even know how to say it, because it's just so in you.
Yeah.
But those are the pieces I heard. I heard this idea of community, image, serving each other.
Yeah.
And that's baked into your worldview.
Absolutely.
And that's what's a beautiful thing.
That's our ethos, yeah. And we even tell people when they interview with us that, we are a Christian establishment. And so that's going to affect how we treat each other and how you treat our clients. It's a ripple effect. And because it's not going to always be easy. You're going to have nasty people who come in or who are unhappy. And how are we going to treat them? Are we going to treat them as Christ would want us to? Are we going to treat them how we want to? The human part of us wants to. And so it all matters in the minuscule moments, and those end up cumulatively making a really big impact.
Yeah. And so the first brick and mortar you were talking about, that's To Your Health,
Yes.
right? And that came out of starting with your brother, like figuring out how to bake
Yes.
for people who had allergies and different issues with food. What has been because that's a unique need there. What have you seen as far as impact on that? Because I know some of the stories. I'd love to hear some of like our listeners, our viewers, to understand some of the impact that's had to serve a community of people that can be underserved because they can't eat certain places.
Totally. Yeah.
What's that been like for you?
Amazing. Like, you want to talk about service. That's a community that really needs some TLC. And I don't think that when I started off doing farmers markets or this baking journey or anything, that I thought that this would be such a large part of our story. At the farmers market, we offered allergen-friendly options, gluten-free, vegan, et cetera. I knew how to do it because of my brother. And there became such a demand for it. And people were saying, we can't find this stuff anywhere. Like, please make more, please make more. And it got to the point where it was selling so well, and people kept saying how they couldn't tell the difference between that and our regular stuff. And so we figured, okay, let's just go all in. Let's go 100% allergy oriented. Let's make these people feel really safe about walking in if they have celiac, and that there's no cross contamination. And also too, that they have a space that's for them, not we're accommodating you. This is for you. Like, how cool is that? Like, you are so seen and so loved and so cared for in this place that we built this whole establishment just for a small sector of people just like you, and it's growing, of course, but we do, especially in the beginning, have a lot of people who would come in and say, oh, ew, gluten-free. No, thank you. Oh, ew, it's probably dry. Oh, ew. All of these assumptions. You haven't even tried our stuff, and it hurt. It definitely stings a little bit, but we know we're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally okay. And also too, just the sheer joy that you see in someone's face walking in when they can eat anything that's in our pastry case far outweighs the couple of people who said, this isn't for me. You know what I mean? So it means a lot. And we have a lot of people who come in because their kids have disabilities and have to do, low sugar or no artificial colors, food dyes, anything like that. We have a lot of moms who come in who are nursing, who are suddenly dairy free, and they're miserable because their body has gone through this arduous process, and all of a sudden they can't even have comfort food. But we're here for them in that moment. We have people who are doing chemotherapy, and they come in and we follow their cancer journeys. It got to the point where we even put up a prayer board on our wall, just because we would hear so many incredible stories, and people would leave prayers on there, and people will take other people's prayers and then leave, someone that they have a request for. It's really beautiful. It's a next level community. And I think that it was very much needed, and we didn't even realize it stepping into it.
I know too, it's not just bakery. Like, one of the things that I love about what you do is you do these like special days where you like cook other foods.
Yes.
And I'm not talking like you do like theme days and things, but like foods like Thanksgiving meals and like barbecue and like talk about that. Like, where, again, that's one of those ideas that I just think is so brilliant. But that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Funny enough, my first love is actually cooking, even more than baking. I feel that cooking is so much more intuitive and comes more naturally to me than baking. And so if you wanted my personal preference, that's where like my true passion shines. But beyond that, I'm always trying to stay a step ahead of what our customers' needs are and just anticipate them. And so Thanksgiving meals was born out of, okay, imagine your whole family is hosting this grand event. You're all getting together. There's so much food, and you can maybe have like 2 dishes there. How sad is that? You know what I mean? And everyone's having this community around the table and eating and sharing and talking about how good the food is. And you can have the sweet potatoes. Awesome. And so
probably without marshmallows.
Right. Without the streusel topping, for sure. And so that's where those ideas were born out of just, okay, we want, we really believe that connection happens around the table. How can we facilitate that connection happening for everyone? And so we'll have like Thanksgiving meal plate pre-orders. We try to do something like every other month at least, where We'll do fried chicken sandwich days because there was that huge like Popeyes, Chick-fil-A craze, so they didn't feel left out. Or we'll try to do an Italian theme or a Greek theme, these cuisines that you wouldn't normally get because they're very pasta heavy and bread heavy, meatball subs and, chicken pitas and all sorts of things like that. And so it's fun. It's fun to just kind of think, okay, what is something people haven't had in a long time? Soft pretzels is a huge one for our community. Where are you going to find a gluten-free, vegan, allergy-friendly soft pretzel?
That actually tastes good.
So we'll wake up at 5 a.m. and roll hundreds of them, open our doors, and then we'll sell it in a couple hours.
That's so great.
Yeah, they definitely have a following, these theme days do, and they're a lot of work because we are such a small facility. We really are the tiny bakery that could, but it's so worth it to see people's gratitude and joy.
Yeah. I'm thinking, so you also have another bakery you just opened. So talk about that journey, because I know that that's where you've poured so much energy, effort, literal sweat, tears, all those things into that journey. So talk about this new place, which is it's different. It's a
completely different concept because as an entrepreneur, you don't do the same thing twice, right?
Yeah, you get
got to
bored.
keep stretching yourself thin as possible. No, honestly, I never, just like To Your Health, which is the gluten-free bakery, I never saw Melly, which is our second bakery, coming in the future. I wouldn't have been able to tell you. Maybe, I don't even know how it happened. It was just one of those
You don't
things.
remember how it started?
It was.
I mean, I know you know how it started because you've been doing it, but where you don't remember where was it an idea?
It was an inkling. It was a seed. I wish I could tell you, but the best way I can explain it at this point is sometimes a comment will be made or a thought will pass my mind and I'll dismiss it and that's crazy. And then a week later, it's like, remember that? And then a month later, remember that? And then it just keeps growing and growing. And then you have this conviction and it's only something that can come from God. There's just this peace and this certainty and this need to push forward with it. And that's how I know. So, cause I have a lot of ideas. This brain, she just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
She's crazy, but, I don't act on the majority of them. Obviously it's not physically possible, but sometimes there's just something there. And so that was kind of how it was with this one. The thought of, wouldn't it be kind of fun to have like a European bakery, a Greek style bakery? And what would, we don't even need that in this area. There's not like a huge need for that. No, there's so many other bakeries here or whatever.
These are the voices of your head back and forth.
100%. Yeah. And then shortly after I went and I got to participate in a Food Network competition. And I remembered, wow, I've really been in my little lane of just gluten-free baking. There's so much more out there. There's so much food science that happens with when gluten's involved in laminating butter and all these cool French techniques that I never took the time to learn because you can't really apply them, with vegan butter and gluten-free flour. And I came back so inspired from that and absolutely convicted that I was opening the second shop. It was wild.
That's crazy. So that was after. So that was the show. Which show was that? Because you've been on a couple different TV shows. Which one was that?
So that one was season 10 of Spring Baking Championship on Food Network.
I watched it. I remember. Okay.
Yeah.
The one you should have won. And just saying. But so you just started to use all of those ingredients again. You're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I can do all of this.
I had of had the thought before I left for the competition of maybe I really should look into this because I was feeling so convicted by it and ready for something new, but I wasn't sure at all. It still felt pretty crazy. And I remember being at the competition and talking with my contestants and being like, oh yeah, I'm actually, when I get back home, I'm going to go see a potential space. So I know that things were in the works, but when I got back home, I hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. I knew. And then that space that I saw was the one that I'm currently in. It was a 2-year renovation. So it was very crazy. A lot of work.
Mount Airy.
Yep. Located in Mount Airy. So 40 minutes away from my initial shop, which was kind of a shocker at first for me, but I love the people there. I love the pace of life there. Winston at this point is so saturated with bakeries already doing what I wanted to do or variations of it. Obviously, everyone is unique, but it didn't make sense to just open something else up here. Mount Airy desperately needed something like what we're doing. And so, yeah, it all just kind of fell into place. Obviously not without the obstacles, but it's not a good story if you don't have them.
2-year renovation.
2-year renovation.
You ran into some stuff.
I thought it was going to be just cosmetic updates, and it was almost everything but the bones. So, yeah. And I'm not a contractor girly, but I think I am now.
I would say you probably could do it. That'll be if you're open a contracting business.
I've hung up my hard hat and the baking hat is back on, but if I need to put it back on, maybe I can. So
what is the maybe people are picking up on your Greek sort of heritage.
Yeah.
How does that influence you?
Great question.
Because we know that at least in our city here, the Greeks own most of the restaurants.
Yeah, they do.
And so how does that impact you?
Well, I would say primarily my faith, obviously. Like when you asked earlier where this comes from, I was raised Greek Orthodox and in church every Sunday and other times during the week. And, I don't think it was something that I even fully understood the magnitude of the gift that I've been given until maybe I was entering my 20s. And it became such a comfort for me as I grew into adulthood. Wow, everything's really hard when you're an adult suddenly. And wow, you really need to rely on someone else besides your best friend from high school, And so I was so blessed to be able to have that to lean on and grow into. But also
and
too.
Can you just talk about what do you feel like was a blessing for you in that?
Oh, 100%. And that segues perfectly into what I was going to say is the monasteries. So being Greek Orthodox,
really? Okay.
We grew up going to different monasteries, both locally and across the United States. And I think in that, I just saw a very incredible Christ-like love from the monastics. They live so selflessly. They devote their whole life to Christ. And so they don't need to invest in you or be your friend or do anything. There's nothing really in it for them, and yet they do it so wholeheartedly. And I was always really touched by that, and I feel like they helped me grow into adulthood so well. And they also taught me how to bake, so that's where I was going with that. So yeah, growing up, we would go and do little bake sales and be in the kitchen with them and just slowly pick up on things. And I learned a lot of my Greek recipes from them directly. And who knows, like their recipes have been passed down, for so many generations too. So I feel very honored to have had pretty much the best training you could get outside of being in Greece. Pretty much the same, actually. Wow. Yeah.
Just the same. Just
because
here.
they're from Greece. They're literally off the boat. So they just came to me instead of me going
location.
to them. Yeah.
Same people, different location.
Absolutely.
And community is huge, right?
Yes.
Like, you were saying like that. I was picturing that Thanksgiving meal where you sit around and but culturally, having family time or extended family time or with your church or whatever. Community. Can you describe some what that community? Because there's many people just I think long and try to understand what community looks like. What does a community look like that? What are the things you pulled from that you were blessed with?
Yeah. It's so interesting. Community is so built in for us that we don't even realize what a privilege it is. Growing up, it would be your mom calling you and saying, hey, you have 2 hours. We have 30 people coming over. Can you just get all the pasta out of the pantry out and start making a meal, Or it would be random invites on a Sunday afternoon. Hey, we're going to go do a house blessing at this person's, someone, just an aunt of an uncle of a sister of a brother, and you're just all intertwined by church and faith and heritage. And it's such a blessing. I think too, just knowing that even if you maybe don't talk to this person often, they'll always have your back, just this understanding of anyone within the church is your family to a degree. Obviously, some people are going to be closer than others, but truly we all try to look out for one another. And I don't think a lot of people have that. And I didn't know that growing up. I just always assumed that everyone has an extended family of 200 people that are aunts and uncles and cousins and, sisters and brothers in Christ. And so that's been really special.
I love the picture of, hey, there's 30 people coming over. Just get it all together. Because actually, we come from Italian family and very similar. Like I could not visit an aunt I knew it was not a quick visit ever.
No.
Because the food came out. And not just the food in the pantry, that was sitting, but she'd be cooking then. and it was all like, it was time to go, like right there. And so, and we were going to try it all. And just culturally the welcome. And we've lost that. I mean, that's a cultural thing maybe with Greek, but I think we've lost that just generally in humanity now.
Totally.
It's like, you didn't call, I've got my Ring doorbell. Who's that one at the front door? You know, it's like we freak out about people coming to the front door now. I love that you grew up not even knowing there was another way.
No, yeah.
And so hospitality is just baked into what you grew up with.
I remember we didn't have a lot of kids our age in our church growing up. There's a ton now, and I'm so happy. But we would play board games with our parents' friends, and we thought that was normal. Like they would take time to come and play badminton
it is normal.
with us.
Maybe it is normal, and we've got abnormal.
I think so, you know, but do you know how many of my friends are having kids and holding their own babies, and it's their first time holding a baby? I feel like I was a baby holding babies. You know what I mean? I've held more babies in the span of 10 minutes than these people have in their whole lives, apparently. And that shocks me. And so we've lost the idea of multi-generational community. And there's so much to be gained from that. There's wisdom both from the young and the old. You can learn so much in the purity and the innocence of kids. You can learn so much in the wisdom and the life lived of your elders. And you can learn from your peers. You know, I was thinking the other day, like, I'm not married yet, but I have so many good guy friends, and especially my friends' husbands, that will come and help me with things. And I'm like, wow, I am so grateful that if I need help moving, you know, a massive refrigerator or hanging something or doing tile work, that I can call these guys and they'll come. You know, like God has provided in so many different ways. Whereas, again, it's that linear thinking of, we think, okay, this is like, okay, well, like my husband will do this for me. Well, what if you don't have that? Or, oh, this is something my mom and dad will do for me. Well, what if one day you don't have them? You know, that's why you have that community you can fall back and lean back on and be like, okay, you know what? I have someone else I'm going to ask. And it's so beautiful to have that. Like, I don't think you can ever have too much community.
So I guess I was just thinking a little bit more about the monasteries.
Yeah.
And I guess one of my observations is that a lot of times we sort of lift those folks up. You know, like, look at them, they're great, they've dedicated their whole life, and you know, there's always this sort of aura and mystique about people who have done this. And I guess as I have thought about all that, I kind of look at it and go, but do you understand the difference in what you have done and the way that you're doing it, sort of in the culture? And you're bringing something to people who don't ever get to see that. And so I would, because I just remember you said something like, you honor them, and I love that.
Yeah.
But you're very like them.
Oh.
In the way that you do this thing, but not off, you know, sequestered in a safe place, but you're doing it sort of in the culture and in the world, and you're interacting with all these people that have never met anybody like you.
You know, it's a different form, right? I think for them, like, there's an intensity of prayer that I could never accomplish, you know, and that I admire. And I think it's a calling. It's definitely a calling. But yeah, absolutely. Like, being a witness in the world is so important, and God is going to call us all to different things, you know? And so it's just, what does that look like for each individual? And then just striving to be as Christ-like as possible. And hopefully at some point we all meet in the middle.
Yeah, well, I'm tracking with you, Hunter, because I think because you were describing that monastery of a, you know, welcoming place.
Yeah.
You said, you know, they don't need anything from us, but they just gladly serve, which is so beautiful. And yeah, she's doing that. You're doing that.
Yeah.
By creating these spaces for people in a business, right, to make money and provide for their homes and families.
Absolutely.
And you're creating it in the hospitality world of creating, like you said, space for people where someone with struggling with disability or ostracized or in a moment of weakness and difficulty, they're the they're the guest. They're the guests of honor. You're creating that in just using creativity so people get to taste things they never would. Like we have a girl in our church. I know she loves going there. She used to call it Abby's Bakery, by the way.
That's so cute.
She's like, wait a second, Abby. Oh, it's not Abby's Bakery. Like, no, it's owned by Anna.
People actually think that Abby is me a lot of the time.
It's great.
I'm honored.
I mean,
love
she's
it.
honored too. But it's just funny because she gets to go, and it's like the time to get the sweet treat.
Yeah.
And it's a place, and it's become, and you're providing that.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're getting at, Hunter. Like she's doing this work, but outward. So there's multiple ways of doing that, and it's an invitation for people. I think that's what entrepreneurship is ultimately, is an invitation to use gifts and to try new things. And I always say it's so cheesy. It sounds so cheesy when I say it, so I always like pre-apologize. But I tell people, I love helping entrepreneurs. Because when the entrepreneurs win, the world's a better place. Yeah. It sounds like a Hallmark card. It always sounds like that, but I don't know why. I don't know why I pre-apologize, because it's true.
It's true.
I got places for my kids to learn how to work hard and to serve and to wake up early and to come home smelling like a bakery. And and I've got places for my boys to work and us to enjoy and bring friends to. And I've got family members who also have some eating issues, and I've been able to send them stuff from your bakery. So you're creating and making the world a better place. And of course, not just you, Anna, but that's what the entrepreneur does.
Sure, absolutely. We have this phrase, and we talk in the Orthodox faith a lot about making your home a tiny church, right? So like we all go to church, but within us, we also have to have the church and cultivate our family to be the church too, It's that same concept. It's like you just want to perpetuate goodness, essentially. It's that simple, We just want to keep going and perpetuating goodness. And I think sometimes it feels very hard and heavy to do these days, Sometimes it really does, but you just got to keep going.
What's that feels hard?
Oh, man, society has just changed. I feel like, maybe it's... sometimes it's work ethic. Sometimes it's customer interactions. Sometimes it's suppliers, but there's almost like there's an edge to things sometimes that I feel maybe wasn't there before, or an entitlement or an expectation. And that can be really defeating, because you're sitting there, with your heart on a plate. That's what entrepreneurship feels like a lot of the time, right? Like this is
being served up.
This is all I mean. Here I am.
And, complain about. Yeah.
And then people come in and they're just like, and you're like, whoa, actually, ow, that really hurts. And you just got to keep going, because for every naysayer, there's going to be a lot of people who appreciate what you do, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to one of the other things that you were talking about, because I love this, that small businesses are the one place where values can be required.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say, this is who we are, this is how we treat people, these are our values. And it's fine if you don't fit them.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with us. But if you don't, you can't work here.
Right.
And so it's just not going to be a good fit.
Right.
And so so in a sense, you're requiring people to check their kind of, what are your values?
Yeah.
About life. And you're asking them to think about that. And you're asking them to actually... This is required of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the only places in our culture where values are required.
Well, and it's not even that you can't work here; it's that you won't want to work here,
Right?
Because you'll feel different. Like you won't jive. You know what I mean? If everyone is swimming one way in the current and you're trying to swim opposite, you're not going to get very far, and you're not going to feel very good, and you're going to waste a bunch of energy. And so, what's the point? Right. And so it's more of just a courtesy warning to them of, hey, like, this is what we stand for. If you like it, you're going to love it here. But if you don't, you're probably not going to be comfortable. And so.
But it's both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, it's both sides. If people don't treat people the way you value, you're going to look and go, you may feel like you fit here, but it doesn't
Right.
look like to me you are.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Yeah.
the one that really matters.
It's a little bit of reality check sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's happened to happen a couple times. And it's hard. It hurts because you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And also, it's a job. Like, people are there for a reason. They're making money and they want to feel productive and you want them to feel good. But if something's not working and it's impacting all of these customers that they're interacting with every day, think about how broad that reach is, right? And so it's not just sequestered to you and that person feeling uncomfortable. It's now spreading, and has an exponential effect. So, yeah, it's something where the flip side of that is how cool that we get to create that, right? And choose that and say, this is what we want to stand for, And that's why a lot of times people will be like, I'm going to go to this small business to support XYZ ideology, or I'm not going to go to this business because I don't want to support this ideology. We're so blessed to live in America where we get to pick what we want to believe in and what we want to support, because that's not the norm everywhere. And so that's a privilege.
I guess the other thing that I want to maybe just acknowledge or point out that I love is that there's just so much mentoring going on, and probably obviously from you, but also from others that have caught your vision and are teaching and mentoring others. And man, that is an awesome thing. It's like a happy virus.
Totally. Yeah, that's a funny way to put it.
That gets it just goes into people, and they kind of have to live it because they've seen it, and they want to be a part of the joy, and they want to be a part of, like, wow, I love that I want to go to work.
Yeah. Even through the struggles that I've had, at times I realize that I have been the one who's been mentored through the process of going through those struggles, and you learn so much. And there are definitely, like your daughter, I was just having a conversation with Abby the other day of, we might be almost 10 years apart in age, but we're always somehow tracking together in life on deeper things. And that's really cool to get to share that and to remember what that feels like and share those connections, I have a manager who's in her 50s, and she has poured so much of her wisdom into me. And just honestly, not even her speaking, but just seeing her and how she lives her life and how she deals with hardships, that has been so convicting for me. And she has been a huge mentor in my life. My priest has been with me every step of the way through so many big business decisions. My family, my mom has helped me so much, and I look back at all these different people, and I can't say that I would have had these particular relationships with them if I didn't have this business, And so for that, I am so grateful, because truly entrepreneurship is the best university. It is hands-on, boots on the ground, practical application. And yet there's a lot of education and studying that goes into it. It can be as much or as little as you want it to be, but you'll never have a shortage of things to learn. That's for sure.
Well, and I love it. You can't, one of the things about the difference between culture, you can't learn culture or learn values. I always tell people, you can't train people if they're not a values fit. You can train the work, the things they need to do. Again, learning that recipe, how to manage the front of the store or whatever. But core values are just something that needs to be explained clearly, and people either match or not. So like you said, you can have somebody 10 years younger than you or a couple, 20 years older than you, that because you have a values fit, then you can learn from each other, because it isn't dissonance. It isn't like, it's harmony.
Yeah.
And then you can learn what song you want to play. You can work together. And I always tell people, if you haven't fired someone because of or not hired someone, maybe it's not just firing, but not hired someone because of core values, you don't really have core values. You just have a list of things that you hope people will be.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right? Like and so usually though, we try to find a way to show them what their job isn't working. But the reality is, to be honest with somebody, you said it's nice or it's kind to people.
Sure. Absolutely.
To say, this is what we're like.
Yeah.
And you're going to love it. If the sooner you understand that, you're going to love it. And if you're one of us, and if not, the nicest thing for me to do is to fire you.
Yeah.
Because you need to go find your people.
Yep.
That's okay.
I never hire someone based off of experience or their resume. It's always an in-person interview. It's always a conversation. I'm going to be spending so much of my day with you. We better be friends.
So it's culture interview all the way.
100%. And obviously it's a bonus if you can decorate cakes, if you've run the front before, all of that. But for me, if you have a spirit where you are willing to learn, you can do it. Now, granted, there are a lot of different communication styles. There's a lot of different learning approaches. I've had to expand, oh my goodness, beyond what I ever could have imagined with all of that, trying to teach people and impart knowledge. And sometimes it's so hard to convey something that you just inherently understand and they don't. But again, if they are eager, even if they can't maybe do what you initially had hoped they would, there is a place for them there. You just have to figure out what that place is going to be and what that position is going to look like. But attitude is everything.
I love that. So when you believe you can learn, then you can just focus all of your energy on trying to find the right culture fit for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean that to me, again, this is where so many people, entrepreneurship, when you see entrepreneurs launch a new business, they surround themselves with people that are like them. And then they're like, each pick a job. Now, eventually you can't sustain that. You need some people who are great at things, right? You need to hire people that are good at certain jobs, but it all starts with culture. And I love that. So that's what you focus on.
Yeah.
That you focus on. What's been the challenges around that for you? I mean, have you had to give up people that were really good at something and just didn't fit? Like what have been some of the challenges of focusing on it? Because it's costly to not just take a warm body, when you need somebody to do something.
I think the biggest challenge has been if we are in need, but we won't hire just anyone. We're all stretched a little thin in that season as we try and navigate it. But again, we would rather wait for the right person than ruin what we've cultivated. You know what I mean? Especially too in the allergy environment specifically, it's so important that you have someone who really, really cares and goes the extra mile, because these people already feel so marginalized, for lack of a better word, and like the underdog and so at risk and so unsafe, that we need them to understand when they walk in our shop that, hey, we are fully knowledgeable. We can educate you about these allergies. We have your back. We promise no cross-contamination. All of what our brand stands for. It's a step above. This is not your plug in and go scenario. There's extensive training that goes on. And we tell people too, when we hire them, this is not like a fun summer job and you're going to leave after this. We expect you to be here for a while, because the amount of time it takes to train you, by the time you finish training, most people will leave by now. You know what I mean? So you're either in or you're not. And so, it doesn't make sense for me to just put a warm body in, because they wouldn't even last, Mm-hmm. So I think that's a little bit hard, as sometimes in seasons we're stretched, but it always works out. I would think too, something that's difficult is if you really like a person, but they can't perform, and then you're really trying to find a place for them to perform, and they just keep not being able to perform. And there comes a point where it's either like, okay, they're either going to get it or they're not, I've never had a situation where I've had to fire someone over that. But it has been a lot of extra hours on me and a lot of repetition of being like, hey, just a reminder, hey, just re-emphasizing and having to really push myself, because I don't like criticizing, even if it's constructive. It's very hard for me. I'm very much a people pleaser. And so it's hard for me to call people out on things. And that's something obviously as a boss I've had to overcome. But to have to reiterate something to someone so many times in order to train them properly so that our customers are getting the best experience, that's hard sometimes. And so, I would say I've experienced that, and it's not fun.
That's the dark side there. I've got some clients that struggling with this right now, where they care so much about the culture and they see potential in people that they will let them be horrible at their job and actually hurt the business.
And you can't do that.
No, because you're still running a business, because just as much as you're protecting a culture, it's not just a culture.
It's your clients.
It's your clients. And you risk ruining the very business that's providing the opportunity for others because you're trying to hope that just that 15th time that you send them to training, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And again, I think you know this, and I do know a little bit, like you've said this before to me outside of this, but people pleaser and difficult, having difficult conversations. We have to have the mindset that is the loving thing to do too.
Yeah.
It's so loving to just say, you know what, Josh, you're really not good at that. you're great at that, but we don't do that thing here. So you need to go over there and do that. Let me help you find a place. But oftentimes it's like, it feels like a rejection of the person when you can still say you're one of us culturally, you fit, we love you, but you're not really good at baking, and it's okay. So we're not going to have you baking. And right now we don't have a front desk or, front counter job. So we have to send you on. That's also loving.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people, because they love so much, they let people wither and die on the vine.
Yeah.
And that's also not helpful too.
Well, when it starts to hurt your business and affect all of your clients, again, it's that one person versus the 50 that they're serving every day. You know what I mean? It's huge. There's a huge dichotomy there in the numbers. And so I think it's more loving to all of your clients. You really have to think of it on like a ratio level as well. And just because it's not going to work out in the way that you imagine doesn't mean that time there, whether you're firing them or you're adjusting their position, that it didn't serve a purpose. You know what I mean? It's like what you said earlier, like it's a learning opportunity. What are you going to take from it? Like you can always look at the glass half full. And so it's just choosing to continually do that, even when things feel like so crushing sometimes. You just be like, okay, where is the light in this? Because I know there is something.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to hold up the standard of your culture, but also of the excellence of, the thing you're trying to do.
Totally.
Otherwise, you don't have a thing anymore. You just have a bunch of people like each other with nothing to do.
Yeah. Well, and also too, someone's going to end up picking up that slack.
Absolutely.
And they're going to have resentment eventually.
And it's probably going to be you.
Yeah.
It's usually going to be the manager. Like, this is the thing.
Or their coworkers. Or their coworkers.
Right. Which will eventually come back on you because they're burned out, right?
Yeah.
It's that cycle of, we feel like we have to protect culture or get good people. That's why we let great performers stay around when they're killing the culture too. So you have to have, I always tell, you have to have both, right?
Yeah.
You have to have right people, right seats. That's Jim Collins. Got to have right people, right seats. And so, but that is pretty much your entire job.
Yeah.
Right. And I would love to hear a little bit. You alluded to this before, like you love to cook or whatever. You got other ideas. What are some of the ideas going on in your brain? Because one of my favorite things is to help people find ways to do those ideas. So what are some of the things? Can you dream? Are you bold enough to dream with the millions of people listening right now?
Sure. All millions of them. I would love to.
No, serious. It's actually millions.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. I would love to have a cooking show. That would be so fun. I think we've lost the art of cooking and also making it educational. A lot of times we eat things to taste good. We don't understand nutrient stacking and where our food comes from.
Wait, nutrient stacking?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, like what's the best way to combine different foods so that your body absorbs them and gets the nutrients, processes them in the best way
I could clearly
possible.
use the show right now because I had no idea what you just said. Have you heard of nutrient stacking?
That's my own phrase. So
Hunter probably heard
don't walk around saying that.
Okay. I thought that was the technical term, nutrients.
Maybe it is. I have no idea. But it makes sense in my mind. How can you,
Yeah, makes sense.
So nutrient stacking. And
that's the name of your show.
I love it. Thank you. Food preservation. There's a lot of waste that happens in America. It makes me really sad. We've lost sight of, like I was saying, where our food comes from. I want to go back to, it would be so cool to have like a farm to table show where we actually go and talk to growers and makers and see like where our food actually comes from and the amount of effort that goes into something that we take for granted. So I really am just envisioning this very full circle thing, but that would be fun. I don't know if that'll ever happen. It's kind of a very ambitious project and kind of
like the bakery you didn't think would ever happen.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So who knows? A cookbook will definitely be happening at some point soon. It's been requested for years and I've just been putting it off, but it's going to happen at this point. It has to. So that'll be fun. Who knows? Maybe another restaurant of sorts or something like that.
Is there a particular kind of restaurant?
At first I was really thinking like farm to table could be fun, but the more I think about it and the need that we have with the allergen community, I would see it being something oriented towards that, expanding out into that. And that's something else our clients have been asking us for forever. So that would be really well received, I think, and a blessing to the community. So that would be great. And maybe a mayoral run at some point in my life and maybe becoming a chiropractor.
Oh, is that all?
Just to spice things up a bit.
I'm
learn
trying
new
to figure
things.
out, and this should be like a whole reality show, how you start it and then you're running your campaign and you're adjusting your spines I love this. I love this. But this is a peek though into an entrepreneur's mind. And it's like this is what we need. Not everyone gets that, right? Like there's not a lot of visionary people out there, but we all think we are, because you go on LinkedIn and everybody's the CEO of something. You know? But at the end of the day, when we need to free you, people like you, to have these ideas and just, some like me, I like, yeah, let's go. What can we do?
I love it.
Hunter's a visionary. I've been around him a long time. He's starting to rub off on me a little bit.
So tell me the things that would drive you and push you in the direction of being in politics on a citywide level. Just because everything you talk about is trying to move into places of chaos and bringing order and shalom, which is a huge, theme in faith.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's kind of the bottom line.
Sure.
And I hear that in you. I want to take a place of chaos and make it a place of peace and order and all of that. And so how would the mayoral race, I mean, what do you think about when you think about that?
Yeah. Well,
because there's so many ways of thinking about it.
It's funny. It really started out as a joke. It really did. When I was doing the renovations for my shop in Mount Airy, I ran into so many roadblocks that were so unnecessary and caused by just lack of communication or lack of the right people being in the right seats, lack of there even being the seats that were needed, just so many different things. And I was like, wow, I really just need to get in here and clean up house and help these people out. Come on now, let's go. It can't be this hard,
That's awesome.
But also too, I think is I am growing. I feel like I want to say growing into adulthood. I think I'm an adult now. I don't even know. Yeah. At this stage in life, I'm really recognizing that if you like something, it's your part. It's your duty to be part of the solution or to help preserve what you like, And so if I love my community, it's part of my job to preserve and protect it. And I think that is really the driving force behind being of the mindset of something still very grassroots. I would never want to run for, I don't think, anything more than mayor. But where you are still very much in touch with your community and can have an impact and be a help to people. I wish that I could have just reached out to people in that time. And there were a couple people, God bless them, they know who they are, who were the reason I was able to open my shop, because they pushed and they fought for me and they had the position to do that, and to speak into the situation of just chaos, like you said, and bring that peace. And so I would love to be able to be that person on so many different levels within a local area. And so, but I think the biggest thing is just preserving community you love and being proactive about it.
Mm-hmm. And you feel responsible for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Again, this is one of those things,
Can't
Anna,
just freeload.
Well, it's so funny though. The reason I'm saying I wanted to stop here for a minute is again, just like you growing up thinking everyone has 200 family members who want to just, who come over and help each other.
Yeah.
It is what you just said there is not widely, I don't think, anymore believed. I have a responsibility to the people around me. The work ethic and the American dream of me and we have fed self for so long.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful for you to say, of course I do. It's almost, again, you were laughing it off. You were sloughing it off as, well, of course I'm not going to be a freeloader. Again, those categories when it's everything, and I feel this all the time. The pull to well, what's in it for me? I didn't get my food as fast as I wanted to, and a fast food thing when it's already dangerously way too fast to give me anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm upset because I'm somehow entitled to that service.
Right.
And feeling a responsibility to, like you said, when you see an issue, to feel a responsibility to serve into that and help into that. That's a abnormal, not like what I really mean. The normal is what you're saying, but I think culturally, I mean, I don't know if you guys would agree, but I feel like we've lost some of that.
I think everyone should work in food service at some point in their lives because it opens the veil of what goes into serving others and what that looks like. And then you just start to look at that on a broader spectrum and you realize, oh my gosh, people have died for me to protect my freedoms so that I can live in this country and I can order this burger from McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like someone died so that I would have this liberty of this small act that I take for granted every single day. On a broader scale, Christ died for us so that we can live in freedom. You know what I mean? It's just like, again, it's that trickle down effect. And so, yeah, however we can choose to perpetuate that in our everyday lives, do it. What's stopping us?
So mandated food service somewhere in growing up.
We'll slot that in between home ec and finance in high school. Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. I think it's
Slide
great.
it right in there.
And I'm laughing to myself because I have to share this because we oftentimes with clients we'll share little personal histories in our annual planning time. One of the questions I often ask is your best job and or your first job and your worst job. And mine was food service. And I was like, that was my first job. I was bussing tables for a breakfast and lunch place. And then the next question is, what's your worst job? Bussing tables for a regular lunch place. Because it was so hard.
It's hard.
It was, and all I wanted, because comfort, is something I want, is just get out of it. Everything was sticky, nasty, hot. I would go into the freezer, then I go into the kitchen, and then I'd have to clean up plates, and people are angry, and then I'm tripping over. Like I wanted out of there so bad. But you're right. Like that's what makes me think I somehow deserve to get out of there as fast as possible when I can think about that's service.
Yeah.
And plenty of people are choosing that, and some people aren't choosing that based on, maybe where they grew up or their family systems, and they have to go through this. That's a teaching moment. So I don't want to dismiss it. Like that taught me some things, even though I wanted out of there as fast as possible.
Totally. I have so many ethnic people who work for me and who are so happy to be here, that were not born in the U.S. and they're so excited to be citizens. They're so grateful to have a steady job and not wake up to gunshots in the middle of the night and to be able to send their kids to school and all of these things that we just really, truly take for granted. And I love working with them because you'll never find a better employee. And I'm not saying that from
because of gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Yeah. It's not just from their work ethic. Like that is great. And obviously I love that, but because it rubs off on me and I'm grateful for everything, like they're my best employees because they make me a better person just being right beside them every day. And that's what I hope to cultivate within our culture at the shop is, a staff that truly edifies one another and our customers feel that too.
It's amazing.
Do you know much about just the entrepreneurial history of Winston-Salem?
Honestly, not much, no.
Yeah. Well, there is a story that that I have heard and I love, and that was that one of the first. Well, there were lots of entrepreneurs, but one of the first was R.J. Reynolds, and that some of his work was people loved it and they wanted to start things, and they would come to him for money, and he would say, "Sure, I'm happy to do this on one condition: you must do this for someone else." And so you had people starting a bank called Wachovia. You had people starting a knitting, with making garments called Hanes.
So cool.
People started a hospital, and Bowman Gray was one of the, first people to do that. He was I think the CFO of R.J. Reynolds.
Wow.
And so there's and there are just so many more, and so that whole entrepreneurial sort of spirit and there are people now that are saying we've kind of lost it here, and we need to get back to that. So there are people that are investing a lot of money in startups and in training startups and putting startups together, or places for people to come together and think about that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. So you're in a great sort of. You're one of the legends in Winston-Salem, and people talk about their, just what would turn this city around. And it's not that many really successful startups.
I think you really have to be passionate about whatever you choose to do. A lot of people say they want to be entrepreneurs, or they want to be influencers, and they want to do this because they want the name or the fame or the flexibility. But it's like entrepreneurship is hard. Running a small business is hard. If you are not 100% passionate about what you do and why you're doing it, you're not going to make it. Because when you're there until 2 a.m. baking off sourdough because the fridge broke in the middle of the night, you got to remember why you're doing what you're doing, And it carries you through, for sure. God carries you through. But you have to really be convicted. You can't be doing it for the wrong reasons. You cannot be doing it for the money or for the recognition or anything like that.
The proverb, when the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. Because it just spills over into the city, the generosity and the delight, and just people can send their kids to camp, or they can get a house or a car. Or, just all those. I wasn't going to use the send their kid to college thing.
You could.
But for a year.
Yeah, for a year.
Or to be a doctor. That's important.
Yes, a few more years for a doctor. That would be important.
Right.
Don't drop out and just start cutting.
But it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices.
Well, like you were saying about cliches earlier, there's that sign that's like, your purchase here is funding my kids, soccer lessons. It's not helping some multi-billionaire buy his third yacht or whatever. But that's so true, really, truly. Like, I think about all the people that I have on staff, which between both shops is like 25 to 30 now, which blows my mind. And when you guys shop with me, you're helping sustain 25 to 30 different families. That's insane. That's so cool, And then, like you said, they're going to take that money and what are they going to do with it, So it's a really beautiful ripple effect.
You keep going, again, back to that conviction that I said is so abnormal that you feel the responsibility.
Totally.
Right. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs and owners get a bad rap because they think, all the profits are going to them. And it's like, do you understand like the risk, the fact that they wake up in the middle of the night thinking about who they're responsible for.
Totally.
And if this thing goes down, 25 to 30 people have to find another place to work. I mean, it's a heavy responsibility.
Totally.
And so it's a gift that you're given to the community. And mentoring, like you were saying, mentoring happens. It's happened for you. It's happening. You're mentoring my children, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is just, you have a delightful story, but you're a delightful human. And the righteous, the beautiful, when they show up, it was like, Anna's here. What she's doing is, she's here. Not because you're great enough yourself, but greatness comes from the fact that you want to serve other people. You point them out and lift them up. You've been doing that. You've been good at deflecting. We're giving you, you're like deflecting because in you, you're like, no, it's about you that, what is that One Direction song? You don't know you're beautiful, right? Okay, at least I know that. I'm old, but that's what makes you beautiful is you don't know. It's like that's what we want to keep having is R.G. Reynolds. I'd forgotten about that story, but hey, if in order to take this, you're gonna have to go do this again. You're gonna have to give again.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And the ones who won't do that can't have the help.
Yeah,
that's a great condition to have on someone, and it's not a threat; it's an invitation.
Totally.
It's an invitation to something great. If you would just understand, giving it away is so much better than
you're
taking
stepping
it.
into something so much greater than yourself.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people, and I love that you brought it up. Plenty of people. I mean, entrepreneur is kind of the sexy thing now. There's all these places to learn entrepreneurship. There's all, but and like you said, you can be an influencer, but the ones who are just there to be famous or whatever may have their few moments, but all that crumbles when you find out who they really are. And so leading with humility, openness, work ethic, all these things that we need to understand, it makes the world a beautiful place when we can reproduce it.
I had a friend ask me the other day, if I had zero recognition, would I still do exactly what I was doing? And I looked at him and I was like, what do you mean recognition? He's like if people didn't know who you were, what you were doing, like if you literally just worked in the back and had these two businesses, but no one knew who your name was or anything, there was no public records. So yeah, I love it. was like, great, you're doing the right thing.
That's right.
That hadn't even occurred to me. Like, of course, but yeah, that's.
Well, and there's one more piece of this, and maybe I'll turn this back on you, Josh, because in some ways, your job is to work with entrepreneurs, especially visionaries who have had the dreams and they have worked their tail off to get it up and running, but it has grown and spread and, just expanded to the point that they're crashing because they don't know how to handle it. And so I guess that's what you're doing is trying to help people get a hold of that so they can keep going.
Yeah. Again, because of the cheesy thing I said, because the more and more we can keep from, the business starts to run you. You start to say, I was just talking to an owner yesterday about this. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if I have any more, more in me to go. Keep going. I'm just, and it's like, if I can prevent that burn out from happening, oh my goodness, then there's opportunity for more.
Yeah.
And to see, some of the greatest joys of my life is seeing people all of a sudden take a vacation they haven't been able to do, or to one guy, I can think of multiple ones actually, but the theme of I was able to go on vacation and not think about work because I have amazing people that are running things now. Mm-hmm. Right? You're starting to experience some of that, right? Like you're opening up this other place.
Yeah.
You don't have to be at To Your Health right now because that's right, as you're developing this other one. That's because you're creating more people to do that. It's not just about you.
Yeah.
And it's
absolutely.
so fun to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're because of the pressure, man, you can go down. You can go down.
Yeah.
And so if I can help a few, I only have so much capacity too, but if I can help a few, it would make and locally here, it makes our world better.
In my mind, you kind of want to create systems where no one is too important, right? Like everyone is essential, every role is essential, but it's just going to be who are you putting in that slot at that point, and that includes myself.
Well, that's one of the reasons I discourage my teams from having org charts with titles on them because they're all about ego. Mm-hmm. And there's a funny story I'll tell you this story. I was working with a team, and the owner decided the whole leadership team, because they people had director titles and like vice president titles. He decided everyone in the leadership team should have a vice president title, which makes sense, right? Let's just put parity out there. So everybody's vice president, operations, sales, whatever stuff. Well, immediately right after, one of the people who was the vice president of sales prior to that started signing his emails, senior vice president of sales.
Oh my gosh.
No one told him that was his title. But he just decided, well, I got to separate myself again, because again, titles about ego. So what we do is we do something called an accountability chart, and it has your function, sales. I don't care if you're the emperor of sales, you're just sales. And then roles. What are my responsibilities to this? And what it does is it creates, not equality in the sense we think about, because there's still people who need to manage, and there's bosses and there's hierarchy, but it's all about reporting and clarity. And you can't do work. The leadership team of a business only sees the tip of the iceberg of what's really going on in a business. Mm-hmm. They need to understand that everyone participates when everyone participates at work. So you're right that what we do is we get clarity and we invite them in. And so, this is what I love to do. And it's just silly. Weed out that ego quickly, and you're going to have a great business. And by the way, it'll be really profitable and you can do more.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, Anna, this has been so much fun.
Thank you
for spending time, coming right from the bakery, coming to hang with us, probably going right back. Please don't go back. It's time for you to go back home and to rest and to actually sleep. But I'm going to put some connection in the description of the podcast here, where they can connect to either one of the bakeries. I want to encourage all of you out there to go and visit. And even just the culture, spend some time in each of the shops, because they're unique, beautiful places. So thanks for spending time. It is a gift to us, and thanks for what you're doing. It's a gift to the world.
Thank you. Thank you
for
having me.
Great to have you.